What is up, guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. And tonight, we are finally working on a 1987 Chevrolet Celebrity Eurosport 2.8 V6 automatic. It's got 237,000 miles. Car's set for 7 years. There's a bunch of videos on the channel showing this car when I revived it, saved it, and brought it back to life. I'll leave links to the videos in the bottom of the description. But for now, let's get on to working on the old Celeb once again. Now I know many of you are looking for the Chevy Lumina Eurosport that I have content. Now that's coming up. I've ran into a few problems, and y'all will see that soon. However, so we're basically going to focus on this for now. I need this car. I've got to take it on a trip somewhere, and can't use the S10 because the motor is not in the best condition. So leaves this one. This is all I've got. Can't use the Lumina because the Lumina, well, I don't want to give too much away, but it's not in the running condition right now, so I can't use it. So anyway, I went ahead and ordered parts, and let me show you what I got. Alright, so starting off, we have both front brake hoses for both sides. We have the brake rotors. We have new pads. We have bleeder screws just in case those strip out or don't seal well or whatever. Then I have a bunch of brake fluid. And in these boxes here, they're both CV axles for our front and left side. And then I have two new struts. These are kind of basically brand new. These are off of a Buick Century at the junkyard. And they were put on that vehicle. They look to be brand new. They're not even that old at all. They're a lot better. I think the mileage was put right there when it was done, and it didn't even have that many miles after this. I think it had like 160 or something. It has 142,000, so that's really not bad. Anyway, I got these. However, I don't want these springs. The Eurosport springs are stiffer, if I'm not mistaken. So I want to take the Eurosport springs off of the car, because I got two struts. I want to take that strut out, take that strut out. Take the coil springs off of these struts, put them on the new struts. And then I got to take them to a shop because I don't have the spring compressor, and I'm not renting the tool where you do it the dangerous way and end up crushing your face or a chest or whatever. I'm not going to go that route. So $10 at a shop that I know, and they can change the springs over for me to these struts, and that'll be done. So I got to do that tomorrow because it is currently like 2 a.m. And so we'll do that. And while the struts are at the shop having those done, I'm going to go ahead and take off the brakes and CV axles because, well, first of all, the rotors seen better days. It stops, but it doesn't stop the greatest. The hoses are old. They're dry cracked. The calipers I thought about replacing, but I'm really not going to go that route, trying to save a little money here because I've spent over $300 in brakes and CV axles and struts and everything else for this car. Even though I went to the junkyard route for the struts, it still was not cheap. I think it was like $80 for two is what I spent. Something like that, 40 a piece or something like that. I forget. Anyway, and then the rotors were like, I want to say 25 each or 35 each or 55, something like that. The pads were 30, and then the hoses were 10 or 20 a piece, and the axles were somewhere around about 100 a piece, close to it. So and that's with my discount. as long as with the other parts too. The wheel bearings look to be good. I'm not going to touch the wheel bearings. They're not making any noise. However, I've got two CV axle seal leaks inside the transmission, which is one of the reasons why I'm pulling the CV axles out. And the reason I'm replacing the CV axles is because I have a vibration in the front. So, and both boots are busted on these axles. As you can see, there's some grease being slung out on the boot. So, I just went ahead and bought new axles because I said, why not? I'm pulling them out anyway to do the seals, so might as well go ahead and do that. And one other thing to top it all off, I'm painting the brake calipers bright red. Yes, I am. You can hate me all you want, but I'm doing it because, well, it's a Eurosport and it's going to match the trim, so why not red, calipers? It's going to look great. Alright, so we're going to start off with getting this caliper off because I got to paint these and they need to dry before tomorrow. That way, when I reassemble everything, these will be dry and ready to be put back on the car. So, a T47 star bit like this fits right here and right here to take the caliper off. I'm telling you this information because, well, frankly, this car is so old, there is no information on these anymore. Hardly. And if any of you guys are watching from the GM forum from Facebook, I know y'all guys help, but sometimes a video does it all. There we go. This car sat for 7 years. So these are the original brakes and everything that was on this when it sat all those years. Alright, so there is a 13mm nut that actually holds this brake line on to the strut. I'm going to take that off so I can actually get access to this because this hose is so stiff and it's like 50 degrees out here and nothing is wanting to flex or move. Alright, get that out of the way. See if I can actually break this loose. And it doesn't strip. If you strip these out, they do sell the slide pins for these. Is that my ratchet breaking? No. You gotta be kidding me. What is going on here? Why is that not coming out? I've taken these brakes off before. Okay, so it finally came out. I don't know. It was actually the bolt itself, but it did come out. And like I said, it's a slide pin. You take this apart. These are supposed to separate from each other. And looks like, well, I was going to say, yeah, it should slide freely. If it doesn't, then it needs to be taken apart and lubricated because these are what helps the caliper slide back and forth when you press on the brakes and release the brakes. But you usually lubricate these with silicone paste. Do not lubricate them with grease. You will screw everything up. But you lubricate it. You're supposed to be able to take this apart. However, you lubricate this really good with silicone paste, which is dried up already, and stick it back in and make sure that it slides freely. If it doesn't, well, then it needs to be done again. The bottom one still has stuff on it. Yeah, see, this one's a lot more free. Alright, so now that that's done, caliper will just slide right off. Just like so. Don't worry about the brakes. You can't get them mixed up because one pops into the caliper like this and the other one doesn't. Now, there is a lot of meat left. I will say that. But, yeah, you can see there's a lot of meat left. But, I'm going to ahead and putting new pads on it because, well, it's been on there for years and these rotors actually have grooves in them. You need to set that somewhere. If you're not replacing the brake hose like I am, do not let it dangle, because if you do, you'll put stress on it. You could actually break the hose or do some kind of actually significant damage inside the hose that you won't see or feel, but you'll have problems breaking. So whatever you do, either hang it up, tie it up, whatever, or do it like I've done, lay it on the bottom of the control arm and it won't go nowhere. And then the rotor slides right off of the hub. You can see all the rust and stuff that's on it. Rub your finger around it. There's a lot of grooves here. And for, I think, I'm going to have to look it up again. I think it was like 25 or 35, 50 bucks or something a piece for these, which is not too bad. But alright, so since I am replacing the hoses anyway, I believe what I'm going to do, and I need to paint these, is I'm going to unbolt this 10mm nut on this brake hose, take it off, and before I take it off, I'm going to clamp it off with a vice grip so no brake fluid leaks out of here. You don't want to do that on a new hose or a good hose because, well, you could actually crush the inside and not let fluid go through or retract like it's supposed to. But however, you know, I've already replacing this, so I'm just going to clamp it, take this off, clean this up, and then paint it and let it dry. Yeah. And then we'll go ahead and take the other side apart and do the same thing. Alright, so actually I lied. It's at 11mm to take this bolt out. And I had to use, I tried the old Meemaw trick. So if you can't get something off and you can't get a wrench on it, and you can't get a socket and a ratchet on it, and you have to use a wrench, and this is all you've got, take another one with a closed end. Say it's 11, like this one is. You take this in, put it in just like that, and knock it loose. Same way when if you got to go the other way, you take the other end, stick it in that way, and you tighten it. I had to take a hammer and bang on it. Finally got the daggum thing loose, and it's still tight. I don't know why in the world it had to be freaking Gorilla. Ooh, that's not good. Oh. Now it should quit dripping. Go ahead and pour the rest of that junk out of the caliper. And this, you should be able to push this piston down. Ooh, there's some black stuff in there. That ain't good. That is not looking good at all. Look at that. Not good. That's from the brake hose, more than likely. Alright, if you're doing the brake hoses like I am, first of all, alright, there is 2 copper washers. One before the bolt, one after the bolt. So like, you would put one on the bolt, then the brake hose, and then under the brake hose another one before the caliper. However, when I took this apart, only one came out. That's because the other one's right here. If you look, see it's shiny copper. Take your nail, stick it in between that, pull it off. Ta-da! You're welcome. Alright, so here we are at my fancy homemade paint booth. Here is the caliper paint. It is up to 900 degrees, looks to be. I don't think they're going to get that hot unless they lock up. But either way, it's supposed to do this when it's not 50 degrees outside. Yeah, it says temperatures between 60, no less than 60 degrees. Well, it's 50, so we're doing it anyway. Here is the picked color. It's going to look so sick. Everything's masked off, taped off, all that good stuff. I'm doing this side first because this side's going to have to be flipped over and touched. Let me test it out. Oh, man. Yeah, buddy. Race car. That looks sick. I love it. Paint actually don't smell that bad, to be honest. Sprays out pretty good. I've never painted calipers, just so you know. Not going for perfect. Just want to go for the race car style. Some spots may need at least 2 coats, let it dry, which is alright. We'll let that dry for a little bit, flip it over, and then we'll paint the other side. Got the bottom nut off. It's a 15 millimeter. Now once you get it off of the tie rod, you bang on the knuckle. You don't bang on the tie rod. You can hit from the bottom. It usually don't get you nowhere. You gotta take and hit it. Smack the snot out of it and get it loose from that knuckle. Alright, so I got a good tie rod because the inner tie rod. If you hold it up and it stays like that, that's a good inner tie rod. The outer one is good, but there's grease leaking out of the boot. And if this shaft starts to spin when I try to put it back on inside the spindle, I'm replacing this guy because it's going to be a pain in the keister trying to get this sucker to hold still while you're trying to screw the nut back on. Because you got to get it up so far that... What did I do with it? Come on. And the nut is actually stuck in the socket. You can see there's slots into this, and it has to sit at a perfect angle above this hole that's inside of here in the middle of this shaft. See the hole? This has to fit up so far, and then you take the cotter pin that I broke. This guy, it has a hole in it. It's supposed to be longer than this, but I clipped it off and pulled it right out. It goes straight through this hole, like so, and holds it in so it doesn't back out. I've actually driven around ones with no cotter pins. They never back out, but safety first. So that's how you do that. Now, I got that done. You need to get this daggum axle out. So, I don't know what the heck. mother is. She's being feisty. Feisty. I cannot turn this spindle any more than where I've already got it. Okay, so it came out. Problem is this shaft is so damn long that it was hard to get it past the spindle here. I don't want to bother the bottom ball joint. That's why I didn't touch it. It's old, and I know if I touch it, it's going to have to be replaced. But for now, I mean, the ball joint is good. It's not, you know, it's not that bad. But anyway, the next thing you got to do is these splines that you see right here, you got to count those. Online, when you look up your CV axle from the left side, which is the driver, right side is the passenger, you got to count and know the outboard, which is this guy, how many splines or teeth is on here. There's a 27 spline and there's a 33 spline for my application because I have a 4-speed automatic transmission. Now it will vary if you got a 3-speed, a manual, and vice versa. So I'm going to get the other splines out, or the other CV axles, compare it to this one, and see which one that I actually need. I bought two because I didn't know which one I had. The other side, I believe, was a 33 or 27. I don't remember. But we got to get this CV axle out of the transmission. Now to do that, very, very cautiously, you're going to have to take a pry bar right behind here, and you got to pop it out of the transmission. When you do this, fluid's going to come out, so you need to put a pan underneath. I got to crawl underneath this thing, go from underneath, and pry it out very easily because you'll damage this cover to the transmission. It is aluminum, very, very sensitive to being crushed. If it crushes, it'll leak. So I'm going to do that. You got to rotate it, and I'll show you when I get it out. There's actually a C-clip. It actually holds it in and locks it in, and you got to keep turning it around until you finally get it to where that spot is, and you pop it out of the transmission. Alright, so you can see the mess that it's made of where the CV axle seal. And what I mean by that is there is a seal up in there that seals the fluid from coming out of the transmission while you drive this thing, or while it's even running. You can see the line right here where it's running down, getting onto the pan, blowing it back when I drive it. You see a puddle right there. So basically what you do is very, and I mean it when I say that, very carefully on this side particular, when you're taking a pry bar like I am, putting it against here and prying back and forth. If it doesn't come out with just a easy bit of prying, keep turning the CV axle just a hair. I mean just a little bit. And then keep prying it, keep prying it. And I've already got this one popped. As you can see, it's going to come out. Got the pan underneath so it catches the fluid when it comes out. Go ahead and pull the CV axle out. Come on. Come on, feller. There she comes. Just like so. Don't look like any fluid's coming out of this one, but the pan's there just in case. And you can see the axle now that comes out of the transmission that this actually slides onto. There's actually splines on that as well. And I don't know if I can show you. I'm going to have to probably move the CV axle out of the way to do this. That sucker's heavy. Now I got to get this seal out. You can see all the fluid right here that's leaking from the seal being bad that's right here. That goes on the inside. I got to pop the seal out. That's going to be not so fun of a job. However, I got to clean all this up, pop the seal out, which fluid will come out as well when that happens. There's a clip, C-clip, see it right there? there's a slit in it right here on the end. That's what I was trying. That's why I kept moving the transmission, turning it a little and little by hand, because on the back of this guy, there's actually a spot to where it's kind of like a key when you open your door. That pretty much, you got to get it a certain way and then pull on it and it pops it right out. Once you do that, it's the same thing as when you're popping it back in. You'll pop it back in, you'll hear it click or snap, and it's good. Turn it, pull it, make sure it's good, and then you're done. So I'm going to go ahead and clean this area up. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to match this CV axle seal up with the new ones that I got and see which one this one is, a 27 or 33. Alright, so it is the 33 spline, which I believe is what the other side was. However, anyway, so it's 33 spline. This is the new one. Currently, that's the old one. You match them up, make sure they're the same length this way, same length this way. If they're not, sometimes you can pull them or shorten them a little bit to help for the length. This right here doesn't matter as long as they're the same length from beginning to end. And then right here, the most important is the spline teeth, how many there is. 33 spline, 33 spline, this will work. It's pretty much just comes out of the box just like you see it. Comes with some dummy instructions. Stop, don't do it. We don't need that. The part number for this guy is right here. Duralast Gold, not a sponsor. 87471N. So if you got a 4-speed automatic transmission with overdrive, like this one, and it is the driver's side, well, this is the CV axle for you, 33 spline. Just in case you don't know, you see there is 2 Ds. You got a 1D, a 2, and a 1. So first gear, second gear, third, and then the second D with a circle around it or a square means it's a 4-speed automatic transmission is what that means. Alright, so there has been some footage that's been lost. So, as you can see, the newer strut is put in. It is done. The coil spring's been swapped over. And we have the new CV axle seal that's been put into the transmission. We have the new CV axle put into the axle has been put in. Nuts put on. The 2 bolts for the struts put in. Got another tie rod coming because the shaft of that is actually spinning, which is what I thought it would end up doing. That'll be here tomorrow. And I'm going to go ahead and tidy up everything else. I'm going to bleed the brakes. I'm going to tighten this nut down. It's got to be torqued to spec. And I got to look that up actually. I think it's like 80-some foot-pounds. I could be wrong. I think it's more. But the axle's in, CV axle seal's in, struts in, all that good stuff. So we're going to finish and putting the rotor on, the caliper that's repainted, the pads, the new brake hose. We're going to bleed the brakes on both sides. Not sure how much I'm going to show you because this is turning into a 30 to 40 minute video, and I don't really want it to be like that because I don't think most of y'all actually care for watching half of this. And the ones that do, I've noticed, are skipping through my videos because it does tell me how much y'all actually watch the videos and how much you actually skip through them. So it's kind of hard for me to do all this work and you're just going to skip through it anyway. So I'm going to go through and clean the brake rotor off. These come packaged with a chemical called Cosmoline, meaning that it has like some oil substance to keep it from rusting once it's on the shelf in a box. That is all it's for. And before you install it on any vehicle, you have to use brake cleaner. Spray both sides off of the caliper, rotor, this surface, and the back surface, or the pads that go on to the rotor. Once you do that, you dry it off with a paper towel, and it's good to go. And we'll slap that on and slap everything else back together. Rotor's on. Caliper's going on next. Already got the brake hose into its place. And the reason I do this and leave this end open is because if you connect this in before you do this end, the brake fluid is going to go through the hose and in this, and these are copper washers. And oftentimes that I've done this, when you're trying to put this into the caliper, all it does is leak and make a mess, gets all over the place. And as we always know, brake fluid eats paint. I just painted these, and it's hard to get it to seal after you got this leaking and just like I said, making a mess. So I always do this first and make sure that I've got this on snug and tight, and then I throw it on the car. Oop. Just like that. The slide pins are already greased, both sides. Okay, so the only thing left is the center nut, which I'm going to have to wait till tomorrow because I got to fire up my compressor and it's like 2 in the morning again. And then I'm waiting on the tie rod. Brake hose is in. That was a fun hassle there. Had to take vice grips, grip the bottom of that guy and knock it loose. I even had it soaked overnight before with PB Blaster and it still didn't want to come loose. So here's the old line with the old fluid, and it's made a mess, but everything is done. Only thing I gotta do now is bleed the brakes, tighten the center nut, and change the tie rod in. I'm not sure if I'm gonna show the process of changing that tie rod in or not, but I am gonna go ahead and bleed the brakes off camera because who wants to see bleeding brakes? I'm sure none of you really care for that part, so I'm going to knock that out, and then we should finish this back up tomorrow when the part comes in, if they show up on time this time. Alright, so a few days later, once again, so when I went to go bleed the brakes, as you seen last, well, the bleeder valve snapped off inside the caliper and I couldn't get it out. So, I've tried everything, couldn't get it out. And so ordered another brake caliper. That took 2 days. And then I had to repaint it, let it dry. And then the brake fluid, as you can see, ate the paint, but that's whatever. Tie rod in, that went bad. The whole shaft started spinning when I was trying to tighten the end nut down. So I replaced that guy. $20 later, $25 for this. So both sides have new brake pads, rotors, axle seals, brake hoses. The brakes are bled. Everything's back together, torque to spec. Everything is done. I got to put the wheels back on it, drop it down, take it to the alignment shop tomorrow. And also the struts are new, or newer. They come off of a junkyard car, but you know, it'll work. It's done. There shouldn't be any more leaks besides the steering rack. And I don't know if I want to challenge that job or not because I did it before. That was not fun. I mean to tell you, that was a nightmare to do. And without a lift, that's something I really don't want to touch and do right now. And as you can see, I've done the same thing on the other side. Just didn't record this side. So, yeah, everything went back together smoothly. Ain't no more leaks. And now I get to drive it and see what it does. Alright guys, it is the following day, and well, I've already had the alignment done, so it is driving straight, pulling straight, drives better than ever. Got my bag packed, going to the junkyard again, and well, here is the paper of the alignment that was said and done at a location. I guess I'll say the name: Mavis Tire and Brakes. I don't recommend going to a place like that. I'll never go again because, well, it started off as when they went to go do the alignment for the car. He puts it on there. He takes 2 hours just about to do it, and I know it don't take that long, and tells me the alignment's not working, it's not doing right. Asked me what all I did to it. Tell him, which was struts, axles, CV seals, brakes, rotors, calipers, hoses, everything like that. Tires are new. So he goes, well, you did a tie rod on that side, you didn't do one on this side, so this one's probably bad, and that's why your alignment's off. And I said, buddy, there's nothing wrong with the tie rod on this side. I know for a fact there's not. There's nothing wrong with it. You need to go check your system again, because there's nothing wrong with my suspension on this car. It's all brand new. So he goes and drives it around, which I don't like, and I'll show you in a minute why, and brings it back, takes it back into the lift, puts it back on the rack to go do the alignment again. And about 30 minutes or so later, he comes back out and says, oh yeah, your car's fixed now. It just needs the suspension to settle down, and now it's fixed and the alignment's perfect. Whatever. I call BS. I think he was just trying to sell a part on me, thinking that I didn't know what I was doing because he thought I was just a regular individual. Joke's on him, buddy, because I am not stupid, and this is one of the main reasons why I do automotive service work my own self on my own vehicles, and as well as other people's vehicles, because I'm tired of getting ripped off for things like that. Especially elderly people, they get ripped off very easily by little things like that, because they don't know anything about a car, and they just want their vehicle back so they can go to church and the store and anywhere else. Just stuff like that really pisses me off. But to top it all, he gets grease in my freaking floor and the carpet, so now I've got to get that out. Yeah, not happy about that. He gets grease all over the steering wheel. I got that off, and luckily he didn't get it on the armrest as far as I can see of. But yeah, I'm not happy about that. And I put a towel in here just because I should have put one over the whole daggum seat so he wouldn't get grease on anything, but I put one here so he wouldn't get grease off his pants on my seat. But yeah, that's just uncalled for. But I'm gonna take it to the car wash. And give it a good bath. You see where I've been kind of buffing on it a little bit, and I got stuff everywhere. Look at the paint. So shiny. I cannot believe that the paint actually come out on this car. But I'm gonna take it to the car wash. I may record some of that and show you how she drives. It is completely straight now. Kind of buffed on the fender. You can see the shininess now, the glare, and it's really, really smooth to the touch. Buff the front clip. But anyway, like I said, we'll take it to the car wash, give it a good bath, it needs one, and show you how she drives. See what you guys think. Alright guys, well, she's all clean again and looking really good. I'm really, really proud of this car from where it came from. It just amazes me every time just how good it cleans up. At least far away, until you get close and you start seeing some of the bad places in it, but so Still need a Eurosport. I'm looking for the red emblems for this car, and I don't have them. I need the Chevrolet red emblem, the Eurosport, and either that or Celebrity, which one it's supposed to be on the back. I think it says Eurosport. I got a Lumina Euro on the side of the door because, you know, I wanted it to match the trim level. Car looks really good. It's running and driving perfectly again. There shouldn't be any more issues. There is more to come to the car. I'm not fully completely done. However, for now, it is a good, perfect, should be A to B daily driven car again after 5 months sitting because, well, I was trying to get parts together on this thing, saving up money for it, as long as I have other projects going on at the same time, and it was just hard to get back to this car, so it sat for 5 months. So got back to it finally, and everything is done. I'm really amazed. Pretty much only the biggest thing on the list to do to this car, which is always the very last thing, which is paint. I want to sand this car down and shoot it. You know, primer, paint, clear coat, and I want it to be really good. I don't want just your basic paint. I want it to be really good because I don't want this stuff ever coming off again in like 10 years. You know, I want this thing to last, even if it even lasts that long. I mean, she's got 237,000 miles on it, so or almost like 200 more miles and it'll be around that mileage. The back door is pitted on the back, on the outside, but the underneath and everything else is good. The driver door is a little rusty at the very bottom. This car spent its life in Boone for a couple years or a few years, so it kind of got a little rusty, just a little bit, surface rust, which is what I'm guessing what happened to the door. I don't know. It was painted by Mako one time, and that was not a good idea. And with that result, that's what happened to the paint. Show off. So anyway, I need to tint the back 2 windows and the very back glass on the car. That needs to be tinted. I already tinted the front 2, just didn't do the back. The very back long glass. And I need to do this one and the other one, and then this one. This one's going to be very difficult with that rear view, or the rear brake light. I'm sure that's able to be removed. I've never touched one of those before. It works, it lights up, so I've never touched it. But anyway, let's go ahead and show you the inside. Still trying to find a door panel, and I'm looking for the dew drips is what they call them, I think, these plastic things. I need one for the inside, and I definitely need some for all 4 doors for the outside. They're all gone. And then when I went through the car wash just a little bit ago, this thing leaked really bad right here at this area, dripped down and into the carpet. I had to suck all that out with a vacuum. Luckily they got free vacuuming after you have the car wash done. And the back door, this one's pretty good. It's cracked, but you know, it's there. This one leaks as well into the floor on this side, somewhere in this area. I put new weather stripping on the door, new, more like used, and well, it still doesn't seal the best, but it's a heck of a lot better than the original that was on it that wasn't even staying on, and it was really thin stuff. This is more thicker. I think this came off of an Oldsmobile. All 4 doors did. The only bad part is finding these dew drips. Is I have the Eurosport package, so it's got to be black trim. I heard that this whole black trim piece comes with the dew strips against the window, so finding that is going to be difficult. That's why I'm asking you guys, because there's tons of you out there that probably have these cars laying around in a junkyard that could find some parts for me, possibly. This side leaks as well. This one leaks right here, goes all the way down and into the floor. So, yeah. But everything else is pretty good. Back door. This one, I don't think leaks. I don't think it does. No, this one didn't leak. It only gets water in right here for some reason. Underneath the seat. The seat's not wet. That seat over there used to get wet a little bit on the end. I didn't like that too well, but that's why I don't like coming to car washes or like washing it too much because of that problem. And I did seal these up with silicone to help keep the water out. But it stays in the garage, out of the elements, so it doesn't get wet or rained on, because even with the slightest bit of rain, it will leak into the car. So that's how bad it is. It's nothing to do with the car wash. I mean, the car wash didn't help, but however, there she is. I've pretty much done everything to this, so I shouldn't have any more issues with the engine, transmission. All the leaks should be squared away now. Only thing that I noticed that I have a leak from is power steering rack, and I'm not going to do that without a lift. So I guess it's pretty much set to go and drive it, just see what happens. There's a lot of buildup inside that valve cover and the head where the lifters and the push rods and the rocker arms are at, but there's nothing I can do about that. I would put flush through the engine flush, and run it, but then you take a chance of clogging up the pickup screen for the oil pump, and I don't want to chance that. Or you could collapse the lifter, and I really don't want to try that either, because I'm trying to keep from ripping the engine apart, because it already has a lot of high mileage, and the more I start replacing like lifters and this and that and the other, I might as well just put another motor in it, because it's just going to cost me to rip it all apart again. So enough of all that chit chat. I know a lot of you skip through the videos, you know, I see that stuff. You think I don't, but I do. So I'm sorry if I bore some of you. You know, it's just how I am about explaining some things. I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to get better at certain videos that I upload, because some of you like the C10, some of you don't. I've noticed in the views, some of you really love the celebrity and the Lumina, and then some of you don't. There's 3,000 of you that subscribed, and half of you are barely even watching my content. I don't know what's going on. Either it's YouTube, or if it's y'all, or maybe you're not even have the notification bell on. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's video. If you liked it, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more content like this. There'll be more coming your way. Check out the other videos on the channel when I revived this car about a year ago, sitting for 7 years. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more content like this. Have a great day or night.